Okay, welcome back, folks. Now I would like to talk about the last of the level 2 tools that you need to do this job, simple forgiveness. And simple forgiveness deals with our judgments. Okay? So again, it's all about getting out of level 1. It's all about transcending judgments into discernment. So a lot of people, when they start thinking that they're judging, they use these judgments for guilt. That's what the false image. Who is the judge? False image. Only the false image will judge. That's another characteristic of the false image. So when you find yourself being very, very judgmental, then it's an opportunity for correction. So the 3 steps in simple forgiveness is to recognize. Recognize the judgment. Okay? Step 2, is the correction. And step 3 then is the handover, the release. That's why it's called simple forgiveness. So you can really see 3 steps, but there's really only 2 steps. There's awareness, you recognize the error, and you correct it. So the error is judgment. I have found myself making a judgment. Alright, what's the correction? Remember, in complete forgiveness, truth will correct all errors in my mind. So what's the truth of the judgment that I have just made? We just talked about it. Who's the judge? Where does the judgmental thought come from? Ego thought system. That's it. And the correction now that you make is responsibility. You have a responsibility to get out of level 1 and into level 2. Okay? Because when you find yourself being judgmental, Jesus says in the Course, that's a sign of mind wandering. You've allowed your mind to wander, and the false image has picked up on it and taken charge of your mind, and now is running amok. Wants to create havoc for you, wants to create conflict for you, wants to create guilt for you, fear, because this is life. That's the most important thing you have to remember here. This is life to the false image. All of these emotions are its air, are its food, are its life source. So its investment is at all times to cause as much strife in your life as possible. And basically it wants you dead. But it wants you to have a very slow death. Yeah. Alright? It's like a vampire. It wants to feed on you and keep you alive as much as possible for as long as possible, but if not, dead is good too, because that means you're coming back again. Okay? So it's all about separation here.
If you say that it's almost like the false image is an entity on its own.
Yeah, yeah. That's it, but it's
which
not.
Which is not me, but...
Yeah, but, you know, it's this image. Where does the false image begin? We're going to be covering this tomorrow morning. And then what we're going to do tomorrow, we're also going to be doing the 10 corrections. And we're going to be doing the miracle, the undoing. We're going to be doing the sorting out and the relinquishing process. And that, you know, everything that we're doing today, it'll all come together tomorrow in that process. Okay, so simple forgiveness is, is there anybody that finds themselves being judgmental?
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at all of this, right, what we're all really doing here is all of this stuff here, all these advanced true forgiveness, complete forgiveness, 10 corrections, everything, it's just making you more honest, isn't that true?
Yeah.
And it's not about telling people honest things. It's not about telling people, you know, I think you're an asshole, so you're an asshole. You know, that's not being honest. You know, you have
It's just being an asshole too.
Exactly. Exactly. So what this is really about you know, it's about recognizing the error and the correction. Never blame yourself for the error. Never feel bad about the error. So I want to finish up, or I want to move on now to really something, and this is something that, you know, people making this shift from level 1 to level 2 have great difficulty with. And if you can get this part, this is another part of the self-mastery. How many people here think that they think? Honestly.
I used to think.
Mila, you think that you think?
I think so.
You think? Everybody has really kind of been at this point at some time, yeah? Thinking that you think. And this is the prison that you're in. If this is true, that you actually think, what does that mean? That means all the thoughts in your mind belong to you. All these judgments, these horrible judgments, self-judgments, thoughts of hate, thoughts of murder, thoughts of everything, you're taking ownership of. Is that something you really want to do?
No.
So what's the truth in this? Again, we look at the facts. Jesus is saying, of course, the problem is not what you think. The problem is
You're saying Willie.
you think.
Oh yeah,
Isn't that true? And what he's talking about is at this level. And if you really wanted to be honest, you know, and if I had been dictating that book to Helen, I would have added, think the problem is that you think. But he didn't want to basically hurt our intelligence by telling that to us. Like, so what this really means is, right, let me use this from my personal experience as a teacher. There are two thought systems. We know that for a fact. Okay? There's no third thought system, is there, Peter? No. There's no third thought system for me. I'm either thinking with the ego or I'm thinking with God. I'm thinking separation or I'm thinking oneness. Two thought system. This is the thought system of separation. This is the thought system of oneness. Oneness is a reflection of level 5, the oneness of heaven. There's no thinking in heaven. There's no thoughts in heaven. So this is the reflection of here. So what that means is, okay, that you're either, or I am, either teaching with the ego or I'm teaching with God. That's it. Full stop. And in that truth, I am set free. Completely. Do you know why? Anybody? Why do I have only peace in my mind? Because I've accepted the fact that I don't think. I've accepted the fact that I don't teach. I accepted the fact that I'm not the teacher. I've accepted the fact that it's either ego or God that's coming through me. When you're sitting with talking to anybody, it's not that I'm channeling anything. You know, when I'm having a conversation with you, Chase, I'm having a conversation with God or the ego. That's it. You know, and it's irrelevant who you choose because it's up to me who I choose. You know, I can always keep that connection with God no matter what other people choose. That's the beauty of this. Just because you choose the ego, I don't have to choose the ego. But the way, if you choose the ego, you're going to insist that you're right. I'm going to basically disagree with that if I choose the ego. Am I? That's the way it works. You know, you're right, I'm wrong. And then someone will judge you're good, I'm bad, whatever the situation is. I don't have to play that game. You don't have to play this game anymore. No one has to play this game anymore. You can step out of this game and you can do what Byron Katie's doing. Just loving what's happening. You know, recognize what's happening. Everybody's here. We're all having lessons, aren't we? And it's like your brother, Solveig. He had a lesson, and you had the choice. You could have stepped back and give him all the love in the world with the understanding that you can see that he has to learn the lesson that what he seeks for is going to be a victim. And that's what you'll do in future, won't it be? Because you've learned that lesson. And that's what it was all about. You made a choice, and now you're making a different choice. And that's what life is. Step out of the game. You know, don't look at your brother or the choice that he's making. Don't judge it as right or wrong, good or bad. That's going to be difficult to do. You know, if you see someone and they're insisting on making a choice, and you know now for a fact that that choice is going to hurt them, it's going to be hard for you to stand back and be neutral in that. The shortest parable that Jesus ever talked about was become passerby. Do you know what it means?
No.
Be without judgment. Stand back and allow the situation between these two people to, whatever the lessons they're given to each other, allow it to happen without you judging who's right, who's good, who's bad. Look at the truth of this. And the truth is that people, every time two people come into conflict, and Eckhart Tolle talks about this also, what's happening is there's a vibrational shock, what you could call, of electricity running between those two people. Yeah? Well, it's that exactly what is required to wake up. It's kind of like we're all little balls of energy here, all right? And we're all kind of avoiding each other, right? And what's happening is we're all going to come into oneness. All of this energy, all around you, everything that you see in this world is going to encompass all of us. And we're all this little balls of energy. And we're all, you know, ever see a pinball machine bouncing off everything? All right? We're a bit like that. And when we come to conflict, we have this, like this. And it's really like somebody had to slap, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And some people just need more slaps than other people, you know? And that's okay. This is the way I see what's happening in the world. So, you know, that the world's waking up, and this so-called conflict that we kind of having with each other is very necessary. You know, because people are waking up through that. They're starting to realize there has to be another way. There has to be another way. I mean, if everybody came here and everybody got what they want, everybody would be spiritually asleep for millions and billions of years. Would you really want that? Now, to me, to keep coming back here in a body, time and time again, and that's not the worst of it. The worst of it was basically being born without a memory. Starting off from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, people don't mind coming back, but having to go through all that shit again, you know, and they're not knowing when we're doing this and we're doing it. It's kind of just like you have a blindfold on and you're just fumbling in the dark. And that's the most horrible part of the reincarnations for people, like, you know. But from 21, that's all going to change. Or from 2021, that's all going to change. Because more and more people are going to be born awake. They're going to be born conscious. Even 100 years ago, Yogananda was born conscious. You ever see that film, Awake?
Yeah.
Yeah? Beautiful film. It's on Netflix if you ever get a chance. Look at it. Awake.
Yeah.
Awake. So, what I try to do with my students in the self-mastery, in the self-discovery, is basically let them know of the thinking. Because for you to get from level 1 to level 2, there's 2 thought systems and they're mutually exclusive to each other. And what this means is you're going to have to let go of one completely to grab the other one. So think, you know what, you ever see in circus, you have trapeze artists, yeah? And they're flying through the air and they let go, no net, and then they grab onto this other one. So just for those few seconds, there's nothing. There's that emptiness. There's that, what am I going to do? And that's the way it's going to feel like when you basically let go of this idea that you think, and you move into the workbook and you begin letting go of judgment and understanding. You're going to be, shit, I haven't a clue what's going on. You know, I used to be in charge. Now, I don't. You see, we're never in charge. The more that you think you're in charge, the more you're not in charge. Because you've never been in charge. The ego on level 1 is in charge, or God's on level 2 in charge. You are never in charge. The only thing you're in charge of is which do you want to belong to. That's the only thing you're in charge of here. So letting go of this idea that you think is really important. And all that's required is your willingness just to let this go. And with the beauty about this, that means all your judgment goes. All the things that you think are good and bad, all the things that you think are right and wrong, you don't have to worry about them anymore. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to work out who's good and bad anymore, who's right or wrong. Because you know, all right, through discernment of what's true and false, we're all going to wake up. Which means there's no bad people. We're all one. That's a fact. And how people get to that journey, basically that's their choices. Everybody has a script. Everybody's going the same direction. Everybody's going to wake up. We're all going to meet here in oneness. Here is where everything's shared equally with everybody. Here all knowledge is shared equally with everybody. Here all peace, joy, and love is shared equally with everybody. So at every level up here, you are being rewarded. The only place where you're getting no rewards is down here. Only the ego gets rewarded at this level. So here's the key now again, and this will be another kind of characteristic of the false image. Only the false image thinks that it thinks. And the false image will not give up that idea very easily. You know, look at the false image in an argument with someone talking about politics or football or something. See how hard it'll fight to hold on to. No, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's even giving you a glimpse of the fight that it's going to hold on to, because you see, if the false image doesn't think that it thinks, then it's nothing. The thinker that you think with, I know this is getting complicated, all right, is the same thinker you have to let go. That's the ego. That's the false image. When we do the false masks tomorrow and the false images, the thinker will be a part of that. Because the thinker was one of the first masks that you took on. Because when you see yourself as a little child in the mirror, when you started to identify yourself, it was that thinker that convinced you that this image that you see in the mirror is you. And then when the thinker came into play, the seeker came in. Because you either loved the image or you hated it. Or maybe you were downstairs and you seen this pop video. Maybe you were 5 or 6 and you just loved the way this singer was singing on the stage. You just loved the clothes they were singing. You loved the hair. You loved the teeth, the smile. Bingo. Right? You start off in a search, seeking. That's the image you want. And what you're going to do now until you're 21 years of age, you're going to perfect this image. This is what it says in that chapter 31, self-concept. It says, by the time you've reached adolescence, you have perfected this image. So we have built this image from the age of 3 up until the age of 21. And this image, we are so heavily invested because this is the image that we believe is going to get us what we want. If I'm this type of person, if I'm a good person, then I'm going to get what I want in life. You know, if I'm this type of person, I'm going to get this. If I'm this type of person, I'm going to get this. So we learn very quickly who gets what in this world. And then we mimic that, we copy that. You ever hear tell a monkey see, monkey do? Well, that's what basically the false image is. False image will see this, oh, I want that. See that, oh, I want that. Oh, I want this. Because it's always adapting, enhancing, and trying to make this image better and better and better and better.
That's also in the self-improvement programs that people say, mimic the behavior of a successful person. And then you...
Yeah. And that's why in a talk years ago in Dublin, I said in one of the videos with all the self-help books, burn them. because they're only making the false image better. They're giving the false image more tools, making it more powerful, making it more meaningful. You look at all the enneagrams that's floating around. You know, the type of personalities, the achiever, you know, all of these. They're all masks of the ego. They're all false images, and everybody's trying to get an extra label on it. Oh, I'm this. And people come to me, do you know the enneagrams? Like, you know, I say, yeah. Are you one? No, I'm 3. You know, I'm this and I'm this and I'm this. You know, I say, you're fucking none of them. You know, they're all false images. You know, God has given you everything you are. You're perfect. What do you need to be? This for, this for, this for. You're everything. You know, Jesus says, and of course the kingdom of heaven is you. You know, and he also says, and of course, seek the kingdom of heaven first, and all else will be given to you. So you can see the seeker, he's telling him, turn the seeker inside, seek not outside yourself. But this is going to be a major block, thinking that you think. A false image. That's where it begins. That's where the identity is.
This character, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I said that in the video at the very beginning. The ego can make the statement, I think, or sorry, your higher self can make the statement, I think, therefore I am not. The ego can make the statement, I think, therefore I am. So they have always been. And then you have, was it Shakespeare says, to be or not to be? And that's what it's all about. You know, that's the question.
Yeah.
You know, in life, but it all sums up. Do you want to be in a state of being, or do you want to be this seeker and this planner and this fixer and this kind of whatever you want to be? Eckhart Tolle, he's chosen to be. Everybody else has told him, not yet, just not yet. So, the very fact that you think, listen to yourself, catch yourself in a conversation and repeating the words, I think. We have repeated this to ourselves so many times, over and over and over again. Okay? I think it's this, catch yourself using this and correct it. Because you will say it will come up, and that'll be the false image. Because the false image is reminding itself that it thinks over and over again. So it likes to hear that, it reinforces itself to it. But when it does come up the next time, then you're saying, I think. In the background, you correct it and saying, no, I don't think I think. This is the part of me that thinks that it thinks. So what you're doing here is you're catching out the false image every move it makes. You're becoming more aware. And it's that awareness of the false image and all these little tricks and cons that it has that basically is going to help you to transcend it. So is there any questions on that? Everybody happy? That means you're not. So that's our checklist finished, okay? So we have our projections, ATF done, our judgmental problems we have it covered, our relationship problems we have it covered, our daily problems we have it covered, our physical problems we have it covered, and our emotional problems we have it covered. So that should cover nearly all the problems that you have between here and here. Okay? Any questions on that?
So it's important you use the correct tool. So
It is.
Don't mix up with the...
It is,
Yeah.
because what this is really all about is it's be specific. The more specific, you know, it's kind of like I use this analogy. If you go to the doctor and you say to the doctor, I'm not feeling very well, okay? And the doctor says, can you tell me a little bit more? And you go, no.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know what it is. You don't give the doctor any help. Well, the doctor will give you what's called a general antibiotic, which is, right, this should, you know, it'll cover everything, you know. But the problem with that is that it's not being specific, it's not being detailed, and it'll have very little effect. It might have an effect, but it'll take time. It'll probably be a small effect. But if you go to the doctor and you tell the doctor specifically, this is what the problem is, then the doctor will give you a very specific solution to that will work very quickly. The more specific you are with this, you're transcending time, you're collapsing time completely. The more you're specific in applying all of these, because we're going to be creators. You know, when we get to the spiritual universe, the one thing that's required in the spiritual universe more than anything else is teachers. I've seen visions of the spiritual universe. I've seen the temples, I've seen the schools, I've seen the colleges. And it's going to be a beautiful experience of learning and growing together in oneness. But what's required at that level is teachers. And the people who are learning this, the pioneers at this level right now, are going to be the teachers of the spiritual universe. You know, and it's so beautiful. You can go up there and you can be the teacher, you can be the student. You know, but we need teachers. And the teachers who are going through this is basically all the teachers who are embracing all of this and knowing everything about the ego thought system, knowing everything about the levels, knowing everything, because this, knowing all of this brings you to here. When you master and learn all of this, it's kind of like the 10 corrections. When you have these mastered, all of these 10 will melt into one mindset. And when you go into that mindset, that's the mind of God. You now have the knowledge of God. That's what this is all about. And if you can attain that at this level, and there's nothing to stop anybody from attaining it at this level within 3 years if you put your mind to it, okay, then you're basically one of the pioneers of the spiritual universe. You're going to be a leader in the spiritual universe. You're going to be a demonstrator. You've walked this path at this, and others will follow you. And that means the people who follow you and your teachings at this level will be following you at the higher levels also. You know, we need people to walk in front. And the person who's walking in front of us is Jesus. And we follow Jesus. Because Jesus knows the path home. I am the way, he says. And what he's talking about is this. He's talking about the metaphysics in the Course. So no one has basically, very few have walked behind Jesus as yet. We're the first. You know, because it's not until you get into the metaphysics that you can see the truth that's in the Course. So all of us that's basically doing this right now is doing this for everybody else to follow. The other thing about this is, like, I'm not going to be a teacher of this. You know, when I have this book finished, I'm moving on. I'm giving this, all of this, to people like Peter and Sharon and other people who are doing this, because I'm only touching the surface here, Peter. You know, I'm only, you know, what Sharon has been able to do in the short term, like, she's taken this and she's really going to town with this. I love where the direction that she's going in this, but that's all coming from the structure. Sharon's receiving visions now of her own, the way that I receive visions, because she's that willingness, she's coming into that state of mind, she's taking complete responsibility. And the truth is being expressed through her, and you'll see that tomorrow. Do you know how beautiful it is? So all I'm doing here is just giving all of you and the world the structure. This is what it is. You know, this is the skeleton. And it's up to you and the teachers of the world to put the flesh, put the meat on the bone here. Go deeper. The depth to this is unlimited, that you can go to this. You know, that's the beauty about this. All I've done is just basically built the outside for you. You know, explain the law of cause and effect, what you can and what you can't do. I mean, you can't learn these top 3 levels for a start. I mean, for someone now to be teaching this, that's great freedom. Do you know? That's great freedom. Because now you know what you can teach and what you can't teach. Isn't that true? You know, why would you waste your time trying to teach something that no one can learn? And that seems to be what's happening in the world. People are teaching, and that has to be the ego. You know, the ego will love to teach here, here, and here. Why? Because you can't learn it. It can't be learned ever. Those are effects. So all the advanced characteristics of the advanced teacher of God are the effects of the cause, which is the 10 corrections. That's the way you teach and learn. Level 3 is through the 10 corrections. So I'm going to finish up here for today. The reason being is this camera is going to run out any moment. And if I start another teaching, I'm only going to get halfway through it or less than halfway through it. So we'll finish up here today. Is there anybody any questions before we finish up? Happy? So tomorrow morning what we'll do first thing is myself and Sharon will do the 10 corrections and that'll finish self-mastery. After the break I'm just going to quickly run through self-discovery. And then in the afternoon I'm going to do, Sharon has a talk to do and I'm going to do the miracle and vision and quickly go through. It won't take very long because most of the work that you're going to be doing, you know, in this, if this is the path you want to do, most of your work is going to be in self-mastery and self-discovery. Because everything in self-awakening is just bringing those two together. You know, that's the beauty of this. You know, that the real work. And I think most people will embrace the 10 corrections in self-mastery. Even the false image will embrace that. Because there's new thinking and new ideas. But the big test will be that it won't basically apply it. But the real problem for the false image will be it won't look at itself in the self-discovery section. So for people who are teaching this, it's important that you try to empower the false image. If you see someone coming from the false image and they want this, you know, get them to spend as much time absorbing level 2 because they need to have a different decision maker. You see, the false image down here will be making decisions with the ego, and you don't want that on this journey. Because I've seen people making decisions, and I can't believe they made that decision. I know where it's coming from, and I know who's made it, but I can't say anything. I can't say to that person, you know, oh, this is your false image making that decision. That person has to learn that lesson for themselves, so I just bless them and let them go. But I can see exactly what's happened. You know, the false image, the sabotager, has screwed them from the inside. So those are all big tests and challenges for people who are going to teach this, and even for you learning this. You know, the thinker is not your friend. Because it'll be thinking of ways to get you off this path. It'll be thinking of ways to sabotage you. So it's important that that thinking that you think, that you do a little bit of work with that. And just your willingness to let that idea go. That idea that you think comes from the ego. And ideas leave not their source. Which means, as long as you keep thinking that you think, you're going to be remaining on level 1. And you really don't want that. The whole objective here is for you to get to level 2. So the way it works is this, like metaphysically, is your student's here, okay? Your student will be coming to you, and you don't know, the student could be coming to you from here, and here. Because on level 1, there's 3 decision makers. I know we talked about that last night, I just want to finish off with this today. There's 3 decision makers. Here, you make the decision to be guilty. Here, you make the decision to be a victim. Here, you make the decision to apply here. You make the decision to do this here. So what the journey starts really, your journey will start here. Okay? At this level. It has to start this level. And you stay here learning this as much as possible. And what happens then, as I don't want to write on this, what happens then is your journey goes something like this. It goes down here, goes round here, and will come back up here. Because it's self-mastery starts here, takes you down into self-discovery, and then the self-awakening brings you back up in that circle again now. And that's the journey. Now, at the beginning, like I said, I thought the journey started here, and I was going like this. But it didn't work. And that's why the strategy had to change. And the strategy is now that you empower the student as much as possible with this new thinking, with the 10 corrections, with decision making and problem solving. That's the key here. If you can start the application process, which is your decision making and your problem solving, then you are going to empower yourself that you can come back here after you've looked at self-discovery. This is kind of like when Neo jumped into Smith at the end. That's what you're doing.
Neo jumped into Smith.
You know in the Matrix? In the Matrix, when Neo basically jumps inside Smith.
That's what you talked about,
Yeah, that's what's happening when you're doing here. You're diving back into now self-discovery. You're looking at the pain body. You're looking at the ego. You're looking at the false image. You're looking at the false self. And if you can stay there and look at all of that and take responsibility for it and accept it, and you'll know it yourself. The people who've done this and come out of it all went in there and knew every part of it. And what I mean is the knowing it, they were able to relate, yes, I've been doing that, yes, I've done that, yes, I've done that, yes, I did that, yes, I did that, yes, I did that. And it's that awareness of being in there now, seeing the truth of what I've been doing to myself. That awareness alone dissolves all of that. And then the self-awakening, which we're going to do tomorrow, also brings us back up into here. And that's the journey. It's that complete circle coming around. And the starting point, like I say, in the strategy, had to start at level 2. Was new thinking, new ideas, new thoughts, new decision making, and new problem solving.
When you say take responsibility, you mean you take responsibility for have been identified with the false image.
Yes,
Yes.
you're taking responsibility for the correcting it.
Yes.
That's
But
what
I'm
real
not
responsibility.
I'm not the false image.
Yeah,
That's
like
a correction.
I said with false image, like I said this morning with the illusion of free will.
Mm.
Do you know? You know, once you learn level 2, it's your responsibility from then on to correct. It's your responsibility to use those 10 corrections with everything. You are going to come down here. That much is certain, and you're going to go up, and you're going to up and down, up and down, up and down until you finish the workbook, maybe a little time after you finish the workbook, in a couple of years' time. But at least what's happening is you know this path so well. And when you do finally make it, then you know it that well that other people will find you, and you'll show them through this. That's the way it's going to work. That's what Sharon has been doing. Sharon basically learned this path out of the pain body she was in. She came into level 2. She knows that path well. She knows the pitfalls. She's been up and down, but now she's up, and she's showing our students to follow her path. And everybody that's coming to Sharon is coming from a place in her past. She's been there. And Sharon's able to recognize, oh, I can say I've been where you have. And here she can say, right, this is the way forward, this is what I did. You know, she's demonstrating how she walked in front. So the people who go through this, then are going to become what's called, the course calls the teacher of God. And this was one of Sharon's probably toughest things to get into her head, that she wasn't the teacher. You know. And the way you demonstrate that you're not the teacher is you don't come to a talk and you have everything, every minute of the day lined out where you just fill every bit of space. You don't do that. Because all you're doing is keeping God out. Do you know? You come and leave as much space as possible for truth, for stuff that you don't know, that you're not supposed to even know, to come through you. And that happens to me all the time when I'm teaching. I came here this weekend and I had a rough idea what I was going to talk about, you know, and even today, you know, that started off this morning, well, you know, we just go with the flow, do this, and, you know, it's also natural, it's also easy. You know, I wasn't sitting up for hours and hours kind of, oh, I have to do this, and 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 I have to do that. Do you know? As much space as you can leave as possible in your life, God will fill that space. Love will fill that space. So we're going to also, busyness is the worst thing that you can have in your life, because busyness fills up all the space in your life. And if you're so busy, you're keeping God out, you're keeping love out, you're keeping peace out, you're keeping joy out, you're keeping bliss out. Because that's what busyness does. All these tools of the ego, and we're going to run through them tomorrow morning, are basically what they do. They all keep God out, they keep love out, they keep peace out, they keep joy out. So once you become aware of these and you start, no. Throughout the whole course, Jesus says, this is a simple course. Doesn't he say that throughout the course, Peter? Over and over again, this is a simple course, this is a simple course. And how you sum the whole course up is this in one line. You attach to this thought system and you detach from this thought system. Herein lies A Course in Miracles. That's it. You know, that's how simple the whole thing is. It's not that easy to do that.
Yeah.
But it's that simple to understand the process that's in this. You know, if you take out all of this section out of A Course in Miracles, you know, what would you be left with? A beautiful story. That's it, wouldn't it?
A lot of paper and ink.
Yeah, and people wondering, how the hell do you do this? What's this about? And all of this. You know what everybody's doing now. And the beauty about A Course in Miracles is that this is in the Course. This is what validates the Course. This is why every spiritual being, both in business, anybody who comes across this work, they know what this is instantly. They know what this truth is. You know, because the truth's the same for everybody. You know, like Eckhart wrote, you know, egos are attracted to egos. And truth is attracted to truth. So in this world, you'll see, you know, you could go and you could see the biggest bullshitter in the world, and probably 10,000 at that talk or something like, you know. All that guy's doing or whatever is just enhancing specialness. And people are lapping it up and people are feeding it up because that's what they're seeking for. If you're seeking for specialness, you'll find special teachers in this world. But if you're seeking for truth, you know, it's not so easy, you know, because it's hard to find the truth with so much else that's going on here. It's like a needle in a haystack, isn't that right? But then when you do find it, hold on tight to it, embrace it, become one with it, and it will take you home. Okay, folks, well, thank you for today, and we'll see you all bright and early in the morning.